If nobody.
Yeah, yeah, even I was thinking कि sixth next time ही ठीक है. Maybe आज early call close कर देंगे.
Yeah.
I want to get the screen up. Are you able to see?
Yeah, yeah.
But there's this. Last time also there was this classic thing.
Yep.
So we'll. So there's okay. Mayank, will you mute yourself? And I think Nihar too. Yeah. Okay. Are you guys able to see my screen properly? I mean, otherwise there's no point starting it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So is it true now too? Because I've gone to my window.
Yes, I can see that. I can see
Okay,
this.
okay. So let's start. In this chapter is called tool use or function calling, and I believe that this was the first time. I mean, this would be the first design pattern they thought is needed the most because the LLMs were not able to access the outside world. So then they started the function calling, and now it has become a tool use pattern. So the tool use pattern, they say that often implemented through a mechanism called function calling, which enables an agent to interact with external APIs, databases, services, or even execute code. So it allows the LLM at the core of the agent to decide when and how to use a specific external function based on the user's request, or there's another thing which is called the current state of the task. So we are learning about agents and multi agents, and then they will actually when they are planning and taking actions, it will depend on the current state of how this affair is, or how the agent is configured, rather than just the user's request. So the process involves the tool definition. So external functions or capabilities, we need to define them extensively, what kind of parameters it accepts along with its types and descriptions. And the second is the LLM decision. The LLM receives the user's request and the available tool definitions, and based on its understanding of the request and the tools that it has at its disposal, the LLM decides if it needs to call one or more tools and how many times it needs to call, whether it needs to call it recursively or just one time. That is all LLM decision. Then the function call generation. This is important, that if the LLM decides to use a tool, it generates a structured output, which is often a JSON object that specifies the name of the tool to call and the arguments to pass to it, which is extracted from user's request or which can be extracted from the current state. So then now there is the tool execution. The agentic framework or orchestration layer intercepts this structured output. It identifies the recursive tool and executes the actual external function with the provided arguments. The fifth one is that once there is an output from the tool execution, which is returned to the LLM or to the agent, then what it needs to do is the processing. And it says that it is optional, but pretty much all the agents process the output before presenting it to the user. So the LLM processing is not only that it processes and presents it to the user, it also decides on the next steps that can be on the workflow. So this pattern is fundamental because it breaks the limitations of the LLM's training data and allows it to access up-to-date information, perform calculations it can't do internally, interact with the user-specific data, or trigger real-world actions. So there is this paragraph which is while function calling aptly describes invoking specific predefined code functions, it's useful to consider the most expansive concept of tool calling. This broader term acknowledges that an agent's capabilities can extend far beyond simple function execution. A tool can be traditional function, but it can also be a complex API endpoint, a request to a database, or even an instruction directed at another specialized agent. So that's where the tool calling is one of the ways to interact with the multi-agent in a multi-agent environment. So there are this chapter provides some practical applications and use cases. And the tool use pattern is applicable in virtually any scenario where an agent needs to go beyond generating text to perform an action or retrieve specific dynamic information. So one first one is the information retrieval from external sources, and it could be in this use case. It says it's a weather agent that is accessing the real time information through the weather API. And the agent flows is user might ask what is the weather in such a city, and then the tool returns the data, and LLM formats the data and puts it back, a response back to the user. The second is also one of the use cases for which they might have opened the function calling is interacting with databases and APIs. So performing queries, updates, and other informations on structured data. So the use case can be an e-commerce agent. Its tools are API calls to check product inventory, get order status, or process payments. And the agent flow would be that the user asks, is product X in stock? And LLM calls that inventory API, tool returns the stock count, and LLM tells the user the stock data, the stock status. So the third use case is performing calculations and data analysis, which is using external calculators, data analysis libraries, and statistical tools. This is quite comprehensive. That all this data analysis libraries that we used to have and use them for our functions, now they can all be called through APIs. So one of the use cases is a financial agent, and the tools would be calculator function, stock market data APIs, spreadsheet tools, and I think many other data analysis libraries or tools can also be called. The agent flow would be what's the current price of any stock, and calculate the potential profit if I bought 100 shares at $150. And LLM will call the stock API, get the current price, then calls the calculator, then gets those results, and then formats the tool, formats the response. I think it would use some the time series analysis, data analysis libraries before it actually formats the response and gives it back to the user, because it is predicting what would be the price of the share. Then fourth is sending communications, personal assistant kind of a thing with an email sending API. The user just says send an email to John about the meeting tomorrow, and the LLM can actually use the email tool and with all the recipient, subject, body extracted from the request, and and format that email and send it. The fifth one is executing code, which is very hot field right now. Many people are making these code interpreters or coding assistant. So the use case is a coding assistant agent, and the agent flow would be the user provides a Python snippet and asks, "What does this code do?" An LLM uses the interpreter tool and runs the codes and analyzes its output. I mean, it can do more than that, but this is uh, one of the workflow. Controlling other systems or devices, which is like a smart home agent, which can interact with smart home devices, IoT platforms, and other connected systems. So the tool and API to control smart lights, turn off the lights, and it will call the smart home tool and with the command and target device. So, tool use is what transforms a language model from a text generator into an agent capable of sensing, reasoning, and acting in the digital or physical world. So, this is the agent using tool graphic, and so it has nowadays there's so many tools that is available. So, are we all okay with the space?
So,
So I have a query in this
Yeah.
because as we are seeing that right, this pattern is actually trying to help us in interacting with the external world, which is not the LM world,
Mm-hmm.
right? For example, if we want to get some weather data or to access some database or invoking some REST API or like it can also execute some piece of code as well, right? So
Mm-hmm.
this requires a sort of guardrails also, means some sort of protection using which I can invoke these tools. So is this pattern covers the protection of those because
Oh, yeah, I mean, there could be, and so that's what when I was talking that it is not the tool uses not just the APIs. I think I just covered this, isn't it? That it's not
I think
just
it said
for
about the
the
controlled environment. कहीं लिखा हुआ था. It was
For
controlled
the
environment.
external world also. So
Hmm.
even an instruction directed at another specialized agent. So specialized agent can be just for the AI safety or AI security. Those kind of agents can be installed, and they are just there for monitoring and there could be a master agent and then other agents that it can use, and one of them could be a security agent.
okay, but in the diagram we will see, right, so that agent is calling directly to all these external features.
Yeah,
This
this we haven't yet. So this is because we haven't yet come to the multi-agent, isn't it? There are
no, even though it is not multi-agent, suppose this agent A has the capability to call all these tools, right?
Yeah,
It can.
so if you look at this, the agent as tool, agents as tools, here
Mhm.
it could again invoke another security agent as a tool usage to itself. So it could ask it to run in parallel of all the workflows that it is running. So then it can monitor.
Okay, so we are saying that using monitoring, we can put some sort of guardrails to
Yeah.
invoke these capabilities of tools.
Hmm. That
Okay,
that is my thought pattern, but it could be different usage. I mean,
because in the normal words, whenever we want to invoke for example, I want to invoke a REST API, right?
hmm,
So in order to invoke a REST API, I need to first get some token. That is the JW2 token or some other token. Using that token, I should have it. Otherwise, people can do the bombarding and they can attack on this thing as well. So because if you see this agent is invoking all these tools,
Hmm.
using this prompt engineering only, right? The prompt engineering is nothing but your some sort of instructions that as a user that I am giving to an agent.
Hmm.
That using that I cannot provide my JWT token. So
So I mean, if there might be some other person who can speak, but internally, I don't think there is a concept of token over here. Does anybody think, other than when the prompt and the agent
like the
gets?
web search, right? For means how can we do the web search? We have to call a web API, right?
Yeah,
So in order to call the web API, we should have the API key to
yeah,
invoke
API key. Yes, yes.
API key, right? So it means that API key need to be secured somewhere.
Hmm.
Only authorized person are supposed to access those keys, not
Yes,
everyone. So
yes,
in order to access that key to invoke this web search, there should be some guardrail at the level of prompt where I can provide my token or some sort of guardrails. Even I'm not sure how to implement it, but there is a security breach here.
yeah, yeah, yeah. There is an example, but yeah, it's not exactly talking about security breach, but it is saying that there is some kind of guardrail. If that API key is not present, then don't move ahead. So
Okay,
that kind of code we'll go through.
thanks.
Sure.
So,
So yes.
My point on this topic, like whether agents should be able to call some third party API or not, I
Hmm.
think it is more about the design of your agent. Like in my company, we have also this agent, right, that do the Google search.
Hmm.
Now, any customer can like open the chat and ask some question, and that internally that call the Google search API to do some work,
Hmm.
right? So, so this factor, whether my agent should be able to call the Google API or not, it should be built in your system, right?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
if you don't want to let anyone else to call that API, then that component should not be there. That way we
Yes.
see
That's true.
isolate.
That's true. That's
And
true.
yeah, and apart and the thinking of the token, all those things. So that kind of like a third party tool calling, again, that is definitely it's a standard way of calling any API, right? Token. So that token is embedded into the internally to your system design, right? So nobody else like if your agent is allowed to call Google API, it will have access. Then now you have to make sure whether you are an external user, whether you want to let them to use this functionality or not. I think that way, because that way we're gonna secure this whole
Yes. Yes.
system.
You're right.
Yes,
You're right. You're right.
right. So
Yeah.
it
So
means it means the responsibility of guardrails is now lies on the agent.
Uh,
I mean,
yeah, so I mean, ultimately, we are making that agent. The developers are. So yeah, it's not that all the security points lie with the agent. You are giving those tools. So you can actually say that there is one more tool available to you. I mean, this is we have come to this agentic pattern that we are discussing. It might not be true when we are doing a multi-agent or when we are actually calling the security API, that we give all the privileges to agent. There
no,
might be
no.
something else too.
Sir, guardrail also can be one of the factor to securing your agent. Like in the your system prop, you can say like if the customer is trying to invoke any kind of search usual, you don't need to call that tool. So you have to have your in the prompt you have to you make your agent aware of your security concerns or through some
Yes,
configuration, so that
yes,
everything
yes,
should be into that there. Yeah, I understand your
yes,
concern, like a guardrail should be there. So guardrail means like, yeah, you have to make sure your tool calling are authorized, your prompt is also like in such a way like your tool understand, okay, this kind of prompt coming, then stop here, I cannot
yes.
access your this tool
Yes.
service.
Yeah. So it is actually the prompt, how you have made it, saying you are this agent. And so one of the papers that I read was that there is, you define a constitution for the agent and give it as a system prompt, that this is a constitution, that you cannot write those kind of words. And when you are accessing this tool, what are the limitations, what are the constraints that you have, those kind of things, that you can actually put it in the constitution for the agent.
Hmm. So it means some sort of the context we are setting in
Yeah,
Yes,
the
yeah,
yes,
the
yes.
event. Proceed.
yep,
Yeah.
yep.
So actually, we haven't covered this chat prompt that they give. Those that is extensive. People write pages and pages of that system prompt, and we are not seeing them, but people have worked on it extensively.
I agree on that part. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so every time when we land in the chapters, the first one is the lang chain, hands-on code examples, and then we go through it very extensively. So this time, I planned on skipping lang chain because lang chain I don't like the way it just prompts. It is a tool to the functions, and then it goes ahead. So I think it is less secure, and I'm not sure how many people use this. Crew AI framework is a different framework, and I have skipped this also because we can cover it later in the next example. So this time I want to cover the hands-on code by Google ADK. So the Google Agent Developer Kit includes a library of natively integrated tools that can be directly incorporated into an agent's capabilities. So the first thing is that they are trying to cover is the Google search. So a primary example of such a component is a Google search tool that can be available. So if you look at all these invocations, what all are taken from the Google ADK, agents, runners, sessions, tools, and then there is this important thing, Nest Async IO and Async IO. So I didn't know about the Nest Async IO, so I searched for it. And this Nest Async IO is a Python library that patches the Async IO module to allow for nested event loops. By default, Async IO is designed to prevent a new event loop from being started if one is already running in the same thread. So in this case, previously it would just give an error that there is a runtime error. The event loop is already running, but in case of Jupyter notebooks or web servers or GUI applications, this problem is solved by Nest Async IO. This error, yeah. So it will say that async or loop dot run until complete these two asynchronous code within an environment where an async IO event loop is already active. Common environments where this issue occurs is Jupyter notebooks and web servers. So, hmm, okay, yeah. So that is how they would resolve this Jupyter notebook issue, and that's why they are importing this Nest async IO. So let's go through, they are defining the variables first, the app name, the user ID, session ID, and then defining the agent and what kind of tool access does it have. So it's saying here it has a tool access for Google search. And it's saying the name is basic search agent, model is Gemini 2.0-flash.exp, and then it's giving a small description that you are an agent to answer questions using Google search. And
So in Google ADK, is it necessary that model should be from Gemini, or we can use any other model from OpenAI or Grok also?
so the framework, what all other models it is supporting. So Google ADK, if it doesn't support any external models, then we won't be able to. So a Hugging Face would be a right place to make another kind of agents where you want multi companies agents to be invoked, or LLMs can be invoked over there.
Okay.
So then, what is the agent interaction? How is the agent going to call? I mean, how is that agent would be called? which is like async def, and then so this is an asynchronous function, and this is the actual function that we are forming. So the first is what is the session service? So there is an in-memory session service. Session is await. So because we are on the async thread, it says await, and for this session service, and this create the session, which is the app name, user ID, and session ID that we have already defined. And then we also define a runner. The runner is agent is root agent, app name, and session service, what kind of in-memory service we are giving it to the agent. Then content is a role, define the role. If the role is user, and parts is the text, which is the query that is taken in. And the events is that the runner runs this content that we have formed right now as a new message. So a lot of events are running. For event in events, there is a for loop over here, and if event is final response, then final response text is taken, and the agent then that response is printed out as the agent response. And here we are using the nest async io dot apply. And after this, that this is the async io is running this call agent function, and it's asked the question, what's the latest AI news? So it's going to process that. Any question in this?
What are the other events which are running? Because here it is only waiting for the final response. Did
Yeah,
we run
so
this and check out what are the other events?
other events would be, I mean, the services that we are invoking, that in memory session service and all that stuff is all those events that would happen, isn't it?
But that we have already got before, right? In memory session service, we got the session service. From the session, we can get the session. Now here we need to just invoke this call only, right? Which is tool agent. So it means, is it following some sort of workflow to invoke the
I think
API?
so. There would be. I mean, the runner would have lots of events that would that it would use. So it's saying that when that event, there are a lot of events, but if that event has a final response is true, then you pass that final response. I mean, this is one of the just a very simple Google search agent. The responses would be much more complex, and in the further examples they are building on this. This is a very rudimentary level of function. Yeah, so the next one is actually the code execution. So the Google ADK features integrated components for specialized tasks, including an environment for dynamic code execution. And the built-in code execution tool provides an agent with a sandboxed Python interpreter. This allows the model to write and run code to perform computational tasks, manipulate data structures, and execute procedural scripts. Such functionality is critical for addressing problems that require deterministic logic and precise calculations, which are outside the scope of probabilistic language generation alone. Which is true, like language generation model is LLM is just getting the next token, next word. So if we go through this code, so pretty much all of these imports are the same. ADK tool, there's one more code executors, which is importing the built-in code executor over here, and then again defining the variables. And now the agent definition, which is the calculator agent. The model is Gemini 2.0/Flash, and the code executor is actually the built-in code executor. Then instruction says that you are a calculator agent. When given a mathematical expression, write and execute the Python code to calculate the result and return only the final numerical result. I mean, it is kind of constraining it that it doesn't go haywire. So just give the final numerical result as plain text without markdown or code blocks. Description is executes the Python code. So now let's see how this function is formed, the calling agent function. So again, the session service is in memory session service. Session is again of eight. Session service creates session, app name, and everything. Then a runner is created. Then contents, if you look at the contents now, it has become quite detailed. So role is equal to user, and but parts is text is equal to query, and it also just starts with a final response text, no final text response captured if nothing happens, and it goes into this try part, and it says that now async for event, now that this for loop is run for runners, whatever the runner is running, and if event dot content and event dot content dot parts and event is final response, then go into those parts, and for each part, if that part is an executable code, then it is access the actual code and print this debug agent generated this code, and else if code is the execution result, then say debug and a code execution result, and whatever the code the outcome was, that would be the output. Otherwise, it would be nothing. Also, print any text parts found in any event of debugging. So it is trying to debug over here whatever text parts the tool has given. And the final response is it joins all those text parts that is in the debug. I think this part is only for the debug portion. Because remember when we have just said that it is going to print only the numerical result. So this is the debug portion. And so try and accept that in the exception, you can say that there was an error during agent run if it doesn't give out any of the results. So now they're defining a main function, and it says that you await a call agent sync. They are asking for two of the calls. Call agent sync with calculate the value of 5 plus 7 into 3, and the other one is what is the factorial of 10. And now again, when we are trying to execute that function, again there is a try and accept, and so this nest async io dot apply and async io dot run is this main function. And so except when runtime error is there, then lots of handle specific error when running async io run is an already running loop because of the Jupyter collab. And so it says if you're running on the Jupyter collab, then you have to actually run await main. It doesn't say nest async. Oh, okay. Nest async is already here, so they're okay. It says just run await main instead of just main. Yeah. So yeah, this one is the code agent. Then next one is the enterprise search. So this are we okay? We are going to the third example.
Yes.
Okay, so the third example is the enterprise search. This code defines a Google ADK application using Google.adk library in Python. It's there is a V search agent which is designed to answer questions by searching a specified Vertex AI search data store. So here they're using the Vertex AI applications, and how it is that this would be a vector search can happen, or other databases, or the company proprietary databases, those can for that there's another Vertex AI search that can be used. So I think Deepak, you were talking about some security. This is error handling. So, error handling is included to catch exceptions during an agent's execution, providing information messages about potential issues like an incorrect data store ID or missing permissions. So, there is some guardrails have been put over here that if there is the data store ID is wrong, then what it is doing, or if the permissions are missing, then it won't go ahead. So those checks are being made over here.
So yeah, these are actually checking out if while executing it, if I am getting some error, so it is doing it, catching those exceptions and do the proper handling of those exceptions.
Yes,
So,
yes, yes.
but the
So
thing that I was talking about is about the guardrails means to check whether I am authorized or to
yes,
execute this.
permissions and others. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, sort of RBACs. Yeah.
yes. Yeah, so yeah, this is the same. I think import runner and memory service and all those stuff. Configurations. There is a configuration, and which is that Google API key and the data store ID is also taken in, and then whatever are the variables, app name, user ID, session ID, and then again the vSearch agent when it is formed, its description is answers questions about uh, Q2 strategy documents using Vertex AI search. Model is again Gemini 2. Flash exp, and data store ID is also given to the research agent, and model parameters are also given. That temperature is 0 because we don't want any of the variability or randomness to the answer. Then runner is configured, saying that the agent is research agent, and session service is in memory service. And again, when it is called, this function call that is made, uh, it has this big try what is the content, and so here it is saying for token by token streaming of the response text, um, what would be the print, what would be the output, and if the event is final response, then event dot grounding metadata is also used, and what are the source attributions to it, that also gets the grounding attributions are also printed. Otherwise it just says no grounding metadata is formed, but at this point they are trying to figure out what are the grounding data or attributions that needs to be made. So again, when there is a run search, it says await call a vSearch agent, and summarize the main points about the Q2 strategy document is the call that has been made. There was another call, what safety procedures are mentioned for lab X. Yeah. So otherwise the execution remains the same, isn't it? If no data store ID, then store ID environment variable is not set. Otherwise, you try to run this. So it says the Vertex extensions is a structured API wrapper that enables a model to connect with external APIs for real-time data processing and action execution. Extensions offer enterprise-grade security, data privacy, and performance guarantees. So that's where, last time when we were talking, I said that the frameworks are important because they are doing so that we don't reinvent the wheel. They are doing it for us. They are doing a lot of security, and all those checks and balances are already in place in these extensions or the frameworks that we can use. But I guess line chain is left behind. Maybe line graph is done doing better, but line chain is not up to the mark. They can be used for tasks like generating and running code, querying websites, and analyzing information from private data stores. Google provides pre-built extensions for common users like Code Interpreter and Vertex AI Search. So yeah, pretty much we've finished the chapter. The rule of thumb: when to use this pattern: use the tool use pattern whenever an agent needs to break out of LLM's internal knowledge and interact with the outside world. This is essential for tasks requiring real time data, accessing private or proprietary information, like querying a company's database, and performing precise calculations or executing code or triggering actions in other systems, sending an email, controlling smart devices, and all that stuff. So this is the visual summary of it, and yeah. So yeah, the conclusion has something where frameworks such as LangChain, Google ADK, and QI offer structured abstractions and components that facilitate the integration of these external tools. These frameworks manage the process of exposing tool specifications to the model and passing its subsequent tool use requests. This simplifies the development of sophisticated agentic systems that can interact with and take action with external digital environments. Yeah.
Thank you. But yeah, the question I have is Deepak, regarding your question, because we have some time we can discuss. You're asking about that, security, all those things, right? With my understanding, let's say I have an agent, and that agent internally talks, let's say, several APIs or other agents. So I should have a metadata system by where I keep, okay, if I'm calling this agent, this is my ID, I need to provide or some security ID or something, or token or something like. If it is not required, I don't need to. Or if it is the database I'm calling, let's say this is the database name, these are all the authentic procedures for that database. So whenever I'm calling that API or agent, other agents or something, I should use accordingly. Is that correct assumption?
नहीं सर, क्योंकि इसमें ऐसा होता है कि whenever we are talking with some external world, right? So
Mm-hmm.
वो external world अपने पास एक प्रोटेक्शन जो है रखता है. For example, if
जैसे
you want to
आपने
access the
एग्जांपल दिया,
database,
so जैसे एग्जांपल दिया, let's say grok we are calling, we need an API, I mean key or something, right? So if
hmm,
I need to call grok, so let's say if I'm calling grok, I know that, oh, this is the URL I need to call the grok, and this is the API key or something I have that, right?
hmm,
And I
hmm,
store that in my, let's say I am an agent. If I need to call in future grok for something, then I store that in my metadata. If I'm calling grok, this is the things I will
yes,
use, right? So
Yes.
yes,
like that way, let's say I'm calling tomorrow to a database, or I'm calling another weather agent or something, and they
hmm,
have some kind of procedure or some kind of security or all those things. I'm keeping that. So all the agents, if they are calling internal agents or any API, they should keep all those things, right?
hmm. So it means, so sir, there are two things here.
Mhm.
One is the API key. API key is using this API only we can invoke the this whatever LLM call or whatever. Right? So that is the API key. So if we don't have that API key, we cannot actually invoke it.
Right.
Now the question here is, ki, so if I have that API key,
Hmm.
how can we know that whether this is a noise user or not? Means what is the level of protection that we are providing at the level of application? Means how one application can talk with another application. Right? So for example, there are some internal applications which mostly complete build. So they said, okay, to this backend service only these applications can invoke.
Hmm.
User even though they have the key or not, but only these applications can invoke. So that is the app key, right?
Mhm.
Along with the API key, we should also have the app key. So all these constitute and create a JWT token,
Token, yeah.
Hmm.
which told us about if I am a app, this is my app token. If I am a user, this is my user token.
Hmm.
Hmm.
With the user
Okay.
token, I can get, okay, this is the user.
Hmm.
Uh, Among the n number of APIs, this user can invoke only these k APIs.
Right.
Or this is the app. This can actually invoke my all the APIs.
Right.
So that level of guardrails is actually not needed, because here we directly connect with the external world using that key only, which is the API key. API key is anyway that person who is the owner of that external thing is giving us those keys. For example, Grok API or the OpenAI or the Gemini, right? These
Hmm.
people are giving those APIs to us.
Hmm.
Now, how can we, as a owner of a application which is built over this uh, LLM,
Hmm.
can protect to for this app there can be n number of users, right? So for them, how can I protect that? Okay, this set of users can, even though they have the API key, they
Hmm.
can invoke these functions or not. So I think security is a very a good challenge here in LM phase, because everything is not language based. These people are asking their question in the language and they get the response in the language.
Hmm.
But the response that they are getting, whether that person is entitled to receive that information or not.
Yeah.
So that I thought it's a good topic to discuss. That's
Hmm.
why I just.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah, it is a good topic. I think we would arrive. I believe, but this chapter might not be the point. I guess.
hmm. Because this is what we are learning, design patterns, right? So the design pattern just tell us if you have this problem, use this solution, right? So that's why the person who is writing this book has very beautifully collect all the
Oh,
points
okay.
and
Yeah,
write, right. They are
yeah. So
mentioning
Deepak, there is a chapter 18, guardrails and safety patterns. Chapter 18.
chapter 18.
Yes.
So there we can get more details. Yes,
Yeah.
guardrails and safety
Yes.
patterns. Yeah, 18
Yes.
number.
Yes. Hmm.
See, that can be applied over this pattern. So
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah. I mean, we can use multiple patterns while designing an agent and overlap or combine
right.
them. So yeah,
So
this
there is a
is
pattern here. Right.
Better,
this is a good book.
yeah, Deepak, you sign up for that guardrail pattern.
So that number would be coming very late. 18, eh? What about the
Security comes
next?
in. Security comes in the last only. People mind.
Yeah, actually, it should be the first when you start, but yeah, it comes last.
No, the
Yeah.
thing is, after I mean, you will design after reading the whole book. So it's going step by step. So once you read everything, then you design it. Design pattern will be good. Otherwise,
So
Yeah.
this book is not following step left security.
तो
Yeah,
आज
but
किसी का तैयार है क्या प्लानिंग वाला किसी का तैयार है क्या चैप्टर नंबर 6
मेरा तो
yes,
तैयार
तो
नहीं है
we don't
बिकॉज
have
मैंने
any
मैं
अभी
थोड़ा सा
कुछ
पढ़ा
नहीं
था
पढ़ा.
बट नॉट दैट मच डिटेल जितना शिवा मैडम ने किया इतना
I
डिटेल में नहीं
think
किया था.
next time will be good because हमारे पास
नेक्स्ट
10 minutes
टाइम, हाँ हाँ,
अगर कोई
नेक्स्ट
10
टाइम
मिनट में
बेटर
कर
है.
सकता है तो कर दे नहीं तो फिर नेक्स्ट सेशन पे वी कैन कवर 6 एंड 7 बिकॉज मेरे ख्याल से दो दो पैटर्न कंप्लीट करेंगे तो ये बुक को काफी इंटरेस्टिंगली हम लोग रीड करके और जल्दी फिनिश कर देंगे.
नहीं, मैं
हाँ,
ट्राई कर
हम
सकता
लोग
हूँ
कर सकते.
क्विकली करने का ट्राई कर सकता हूँ बट वही डिटेल में तो नहीं जा पाऊंगा टाइम भी नहीं और मैंने बहुत डिटेल पढ़ा
कर
भी
दो
नहीं है.
ट्राई ट्राई कर
ठीक.
दो और
आई थिंक दीपक रहने देते हैं. इस
अच्छा.
बार तो मनोज
ठीक
भी
है
नहीं
चलो.
है और नेक्स्ट टाइम पे दो चैप्टर कर लेते हैं. और ये
अच्छा
ये
ठीक है.
ठीक है
चैप्टर
चलिए. चलिए आशीष
काफी.
जी इस बार आप जरा हल्के में पढ़ के आए जरा इसको और जरा डिटेल में पढ़ के आइए.
क्या अलाउ नहीं करें.
ये
और
मल्टी एजेंट कौन कर रहा है मल्टी एजेंट
मल्टी एजेंट.
किसी ने साइन अप किया है क्या.
हाँ, अब जो है काफी अच्छे वो
मल्टी
आ
एजेंट
रहे
सर
हैं.
मोहन जी ने किया है. मोहन जी ने किया है साइन अप मल्टी एजेंट के लिए. तो ठीक
हम्म.
है आशीष आप जो है प्लानिंग कवर कर
प्लानिंग
लीजिए
कर.
और मोहन जी
ठीक
कवर
है.
कर लेंगे मल्टी एजेंट. ठीक है
हम्म.
ठीक है.
हम्म.
तो अच्छा रहेगा.
हम्म.
चलो फिर. ओके गाइस.
ओके, ओके,
ठीक
थैंक
है
यू.
अभी